let's start our tour. Last year, this all started not because of Egypt, but because of something that nobody paid attention to. A little country named Tunisia. There was a guy who set himself on fire because he was tired of the oppressive regime. It was a pretty amazing act. It was a horrific act. This guy, he was innocent, but he didn't know what else to do. He needed to get people's attention. I said, please watch out. This moment is going to be the Archduke Ferdinand moment, the moment that sets the whole world on fire. The president, after mocking me and his minions mocking me, called him Rosa Parks. Well, maybe Rosa Parks, I guess, was a hero and did something pretty frightening. I mean, he did something pretty frightening. He set himself on fire, so I don't see the Rosa Parks there. But also, Rosa Parks, what she did, her action, it led to a civil rights movement. It led to more freedom. In Tunisia, it didn't. In Tunisia, over the last 12 months, the radical Islamist party, the Muslim Brotherhood affiliate in Tunisia, won 40% of the vote in October elections. That is only 16% of the Tunisians registered to vote in that election. That's pretty great, isn't it? That's what democracy looks like. The man likely to be Tunisia's first prime minister recently said, and I quote, "My brothers, you are at a historic moment in a new cycle of civilization, God willing. We are in the 6th caliphate, God willing." Tunisia, where it all began. The elections have further emboldened radicals. Radical Islamists have seized control of hundreds of mosques because they're not Islamic enough. They've taken over the prayer halls because they're not Islamic enough. Islamists have occupied a university and prevented the schools from taking any exams because the institutions say you don't have to wear the face veil. That's not Islamic enough. The state now launching a state-run Islamic channel to help people understand their religion. Oh. Poverty and unemployment rates are extremely high, and so are tensions. People are gearing up to do battle with the hardline Islamists. Who do you think will win? You think the hardline Islamists are going to back down? They're here to establish a caliphate. You might as well say it's a 1,000-year Reich. They have God and history on their side. But let's move over now to Egypt. Egypt is where everyone said it's glorious. Nobody paid attention to Tunisia except for you. But here Egypt, the whole world paid attention to Egypt, and that was glorious. And anybody who said anything differently, that's trouble. Well, they're experiencing economic ruin. And the IMF is about to bail them out, and guess who's going to send them more checks? Us. And that's the least of our problems. The military is still in power. The radical Islamist group, the Muslim Brotherhood, won 67% of the seats in the election just recently, and that's not counting all the other hardliners that are worse than the Muslim Brotherhood. Just recently, there have been more protests. Dozens of protesters of military rule have been killed. And then there's this video. Warning. It's extremely hard to watch. A video of a woman. They're just calling the blue bra woman. You will understand why. These are men beating on women. But this isn't a problem. Here's why they call her the blue bra woman. You see them stomping on her. I want you to know something. This network does have standards. I don't show you videos. I'm proud to say I am the only person, I believe, ever on Fox that never played any of the cheerleader videos or any of the salacious videos. We never did it because I treat you with respect. I think conservatives don't need that, don't want that. I know if I'm watching with my children, I don't want them to see this, and I apologize. But this country had pictures of the train tracks and the gas chambers at Auschwitz. We had them. It was taken by our bombers. We had them. We didn't show them to anybody. Because the people probably would have said, hey, maybe we should close that down. We should have shown them to the American people. It is important to show images, but they won't show these images. They won't show these images on TV. They won't show you the World Trade Center burning. They won't show you what's really happening in the Middle East. Why? Why? When we will all go put good money down to watch man's inhumanity to man at the movie theater. We'll watch people peel skin off of other people, but we'll watch that for entertainment, because that's just a movie. No, we can't watch the other stuff because that's real. Shouldn't it be in reverse? Shouldn't we say as a society we don't want to see the fake stuff? But the real man being inhumane to man we should watch? So we will stop it, so it will stir something in us? Good heavens, America, life is not a movie. It's not a video game. It's real. People's lives are at stake, and I got news for you. Your life is at stake. And if you think that's hyperbole, then go back and watch the mainstream media spoonful of sugar every single day without a bit of medicine. There were more clashes with police just outside Cairo State Media Building, the same place where 25 Christian protesters were killed. Egypt's new leaders have called for an immediate end to the Israeli peace agreement, the Camp David Accords. End it. The supreme guide of the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt just said the Brotherhood is close to achieving the ultimate goal set by the group's founder in 1928, an establishment of a just Islamic caliphate. That's got to be crazy talk. He must be a conspiracy theorist. He's probably confident because the Brotherhood has cozied up now to the military, a relationship that has everybody else furious and freaking out. The LA Times reports now protesters are chanting down, down, down with the military and calling for the execution of officials. But are they giving you any perspective and telling you what this means? You think the Brotherhood-led military police are going to back down? They got God on their side. Hillary Clinton celebrated Gaddafi's death. Celebrated, watch.
We came, we saw, he died. Did it have anything to do with...
We came, we saw, he died. Do you remember what it was like his last minutes? This guy was a monster. I've never ever felt bad for a monster before. This guy was taken and dragged in the streets. Do we believe in a fair trial anymore? Do we just drag people out in the streets, mob style, and just beat them to death and kill them? Look how this man was killed. Is this something you celebrate? Hillary Clinton saw this video. You laugh about it? My gosh, what have we turned into? Have things gotten better or worse since? Well, let's go to Libya, because of course we had to go help the Libyans. Of course. Let's go help the Libyans. How did that happen? How'd that work out, huh? How much treasure, how much blood? Radical Islamists are now on the rise in Libya. Libya's interim president said the Libyan laws in the future will use Sharia as the source of all legislation. That's good. The Telegraph reported there is a real possibility that Libya will redescend into civil strife. There are regular gunfights now between militias who are jockeying for power. Libya's attorney general was dragged from his car at gunpoint and forced to release prisoners. The Islamists are much more disorganized than they are in Egypt, but they are just as determined, and chaos and violence is continuing. In Syria, why should the world worry about Syria? I mean, that's no big deal. Syria? What? By the way, this little speck right here, right there, is Israel. That's Israel. That's Israel. And if they just give up a little bit more land, all of this will be fine. 5,400 protesters are dead since last year. Give you some perspective, that is more than the coalition forces killed in Iraq. Since 2003, 4,802, I believe, is the number. Wow. Wow, 4,802. And that, of course, the greatest humanitarian crisis of all time. We got to put that number up on the TV screen every single night until we switch presidents, and then we don't care anymore. Or until extremists, until brutal dictators just start slaughtering their own people. Then we don't care so much. Do they have any oil? The UN says hundreds of children have been killed in the uprising, but we don't care. Oh, I mean, we're going to go to the UN and then we'll do nothing. Here's a tragic story from just the other day. 5 children killed in the shelling attack by Assad's men. The United States is pressuring the UN to make a resolution against Syria. Don't we have a responsibility to protect? No, not here. Not here for some reason. I don't know why. China and Russia are standing behind Syria, as they have now with Iran. They claim the resolution is a path towards civil war. Oh, really? Syria's president says he's not standing down and vows to fight the terrorist with an iron fist, and chaos and violence will continue. Who's on the right side? The terrorist or the brutal dictator? Neither. But we sure were quick to open up the party hats and the cans of whoop ass. Yemen. Oh, things are going well in Yemen. I mean, if you're an Islamic extremist, things are going well there. That's good. By the way, all of your oil it's got to come through here. But that's it. No big deal. Elections are scheduled for this month, February 21st, but the election committee offices have been attacked by gunmen protesting the coming elections. Al-Qaeda-linked militants have seized territory. The president and information minister, boy, I hope we get one of those soon, have survived multiple assassination attempts. Al Jazeera says the Yemen uprisings are made up of various insurrection groups that, quote, bring together, among others, socialists and Islamists. Well, gee, are they conspiracy theorists? Because radicals, Islamists, and communists and socialists will work together. Wait a minute, this one comes from Al Jazeera, so maybe the White House is listening this time, because we all know that you can trust the Almighty. Praise be upon Al Jazeera. They've said this now. But gee, nobody's talking about that. Aren't they all watching Al Jazeera? Isn't this important that socialists and Islamists are working together? Just some of the groups. Muslim Brotherhood, their goal, ultimately, caliphate. Then you have the Salafists, radical Islamists, ultimate goal, caliphate. Then you have the Socialist Party and the Unionist Party and the Popular Forces Union Party. Oh, that sounds great. Then you also have Abdul Majid al-Zindani. Glad I don't live in that part of the country. I can barely do American names. He's a leading figure in the movement. Leading figure in this movement. Okay? But CNN is identifying him today as, quote, a provocative cleric with a flaming red beard. Oh. You might remember him, the rest of the world knows him, as the leading militant Islamist with the Muslim Brotherhood, who was designated a global terrorist by the United States because of his long history of working with Osama bin Laden. But I rather think of him as a provocative cleric with a flaming red beard. Incompetence, irresponsible, or dangerous? Think of what the media told you a year ago. This was glorious. This was democratic. This was peaceful. This was definitely not about the caliphate. This was definitely not about anybody being dangerous. This isn't it. Every single one of the countries that have fallen are being influenced by Islamists who want to reestablish the caliphate. Not my words, their words. Where the power is undecided, the Islamists are violently fighting for it. So who are you rooting for? The dictator? Radical Islam is on the rise all over the Middle East, and it is beginning to sweep the world, and that should scare the crap out of people. But apparently not the media, and definitely not Barack Obama, who called these uprisings, quote, the beginning of a new era of promise. Oh, yes. Be careful what you wish for. That promise is about to come true, and I believe this president knows exactly what I mean. He knew in advance. That's not how I would describe the rapid ascent into radical Islam, but I believe he does. The Washington Times says today, quote, Obama is an Islamist firster, meaning he puts Islam before everything else. That's not that he wasn't born here or that he is an Islamic himself. He just seems to have different goals than most Americans. Here's the truth. Those who seek the caliphate are dominating now the Middle East. They are joined by socialists and communists and other radicals, at least while they have a common goal. But now that the Islamic radicals have control of Egypt, now they're doing the other part of this prediction that I gave to you later. I warned, you're going to end up dead. Because those Islamic radicals, to achieve their end goal, the caliphate, can no longer use you socialists, you Western people. That's why in Egypt, we told you earlier this week in a story you probably haven't heard anywhere else, they're holding them, Americans. One of them is the son of an American administration official. Boy, you'd think that was a big story, wouldn't you? No, it can't really be a big story, or you have to explain that one to the American people. Now let's go into the next phase of the prediction, and that is protests become contagious. They cascade, they sweep the Middle East, we're there, and begin to stabilize Europe and the rest of the world. Well, let me give you two stories out just today. I mean, this has been an incredible few days for our predictions. Add two more to the 12 that we've had in the last week. Two more. This one, 4 UK jihadists plead guilty over economic terror plot was the headline today. What was that? Well, they were just going to try to collapse Europe and the Western way of life. Then there's this one. Iran is launching a Spanish-language satellite TV channel. Well, I mean, I always watch the Iranian movies. They're always so good. I just haven't been able to get them in Spanish yet. What do you think that's all about? They say it will deal a blow to dominance seekers. By the way, that would be you. This is the latest effort from Mahmoud Ahmadinejad to reach out to friendly governments in Latin America. He's already doing it over here. He's already doing it with Cuba, Venezuela, friendly forces in Mexico. It's happening. Spreading the hatred of the West, and boy, there are forces in Latin America that love to hate the West. We will address this and the spread of the caliphate with three incredible guests that have been ringing the alarm bells alongside of me and probably long before me for years. You need to hear what they are going to share with you. You will not hear it in the mainstream media. We do that next.